Hi, I'm Jaron with the Portland Home Market. Have you ever thought about creating added value to a home by finishing unused square footage, like finishing a basement into bedrooms and bathrooms, converting a garage to living space, or building an addition? The result can be a huge return in the form of monthly cash flow and equity in the property. Here I'm going to show you a case study with actual numbers of a project where, if all goes well, I should add $150,000 of net equity and almost $800 per month in positive cash flow to my property. This video is for someone who wants to approach their home purchase with an investment mindset or add equity and cash flow to your current home. Like anything, there are some risks, and I'll cover them as well. Let's get started. So if you're into real estate investing, you may have heard of the BRRRR investing method by now. It goes like this: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. This forced equity play I'm about to explain borrows from the exact same concept. So the definitions: equity being the difference between the asset value and the liability against it, right? So if your home is worth $500,000 and you owe $400,000 in mortgage balance, you have equity of $100,000. So here I'm going to focus on forced equity. Forced equity is when you make improvements or additions and have an increase in equity due to the improvements. I'm going to add square footage, bedrooms and bathrooms to earn a return of 100% or more over and above the capital improvements I make to the property. By adding or finishing square footage into living space and bedrooms and bathrooms, you're dramatically increasing the value of the property, earning a return in the form of equity which you can leave in the property, sell for profit, or pull out in cash by way of a HELOC or home equity line of credit, or a cash out refinance of your mortgage. Okay, so let's look at the three factors of forced equity: our acquisition cost or purchase price, our improvement cost or the cost of renovation, and our ARV, to borrow a flipper term, after repair value, synonymous with future value. We want 1 plus 2 to equal way more than 3. All right, let's break down part 1, the acquisition. In this case, the property I'll be converting is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom with about 2,500 square feet of living space. It's a 900 square foot unfinished basement. The basement was a perfect example of what I wanted in an equity play. It had high enough ceilings, a lot of space, windows that could easily be converted to egress windows, and the utilities and systems were laid out where I wouldn't have to reconfigure everything during a renovation. I purchased the property as my primary residence for $518,000. I put $51,800 down, or 10%, and my total mortgage with taxes and insurance is $2,900 a month on the $466,000 loan. The property has huge potential because it just needs to be freshened up a bit to realize its full value in the 2,500 square feet. But the real forced equity comes from finishing the 900 square foot basement. Part 2, the renovation. Experienced flippers and investors who are working in more volume are going to budget projects like this by dollars per square foot. They're going to say, in general, that they can finish a basement for, say, $100 a square foot and gain $200 a square foot in value by doing so. Even still, they will get comprehensive bids before they commit to the scope of the project. Okay, here's where I'm going to share all of my actual numbers. When I was getting started with investing, it was hard to find case studies of actual projects with real numbers. And if I'm in your shoes trying to decide whether or not to do a project like this, seeing these numbers helps me break the total scope down into smaller pieces that are easier to digest. Disclaimer though, the cost of this project should not be an estimate of what your project would cost. Every project is unique, and you need to discover all the nuance of your project individually. Okay, let's take a look. So the total estimated cost of this project is $145,500. Let's break it down further. I'm only really dealing with 3 parties in this. First, the architectural drafter, who measures the property and comes up with a floor plan, sometimes multiple floor plans to choose from. These are important for permitting with the city and, of course, the contractor to build from. Then I have a designer who comes up with all the aesthetic designs based on low, medium, or high budget. Some options are, of course, budget driven, so this is where a lot of the back and forth happens between the designer and the contractor and myself. The drafting and designer together cost me $3,500. Then the City of Portland has the system development charges, or SDC fees. These are going to be about $12,000. That basically gets me a new water main from the street to accommodate the extra bathroom, kitchen, and laundry room. Finally, the contractor's estimate of all materials and labor is $130,000. So let's break that down further. You can see the breakdown here with all the detail. I'm going to keep scrolling a bit, but there are a few areas that I'm spending more than I would in a typical rental or flip. For instance, the basement wouldn't necessarily need AC or air conditioning, but I'm doing a 3-head ductless mini split for high efficient heating and cooling. I've got some extra concrete work built into the bid for redoing some sidewalks in addition to the retaining wall for the entrance. You can see the importance of getting a comprehensive bid in order to fully estimate the costs. Maybe you have room for some extras. Ultimately, I'm probably spending around $100 a square foot if I was just finishing the space without the extras. You may choose to cut some of these costs way down by sourcing some of your own subcontractors, materials, and even doing a lot of the work yourself. Okay, so now we have this $145,500 budget. What now? I don't want to pay for this myself, so this is where leverage is going to come in. You'd be surprised how many people you know would be happy to make 5% of their cash rather than keep it in the stock market during this time. So I'm going to borrow this amount from a private investor at 5% for 6 months. The cost of this loan will be about $3,600 in interest if I hold the loan for 6 months. I really plan to have the property finished and leased up in 3 months, but the 6 months will give me some time to manage the cash out refinance, which I'll get to in a moment. You may have other options too. If you've owned your home for a long time and have a lot of equity in it, you could do this with a HELOC loan or a home equity line of credit. I'm going to add the cost of the renovation, $145,500, with the interest expense of $36,37 to make a total renovation cost of $149,000. Okay, part 3, the ARV. Okay, so remember we started with 2,500 square feet, 4 bed, 2 bath. Well, after adding this entire basement apartment, the home now has 3,400 fully finished square feet with 6 bedrooms, 3 full baths, 2 kitchens, 2 laundry rooms. Because the basement unit is completely separate and rentable on its own, it makes the home more valuable than if it was just the added square footage. So running sales comps of homes with similar specs in the same neighborhood got me an estimated ARV of nearly $900,000. For this part, you really want to consult with your realtor to make sure you're taking everything into consideration. Now, it may appraise for that, and that would be amazing, but I want to be conservative with my numbers, so I'll use $825,000 as my ARV. My project exit strategy is to refinance and hold the property rather than sell. I plan to continue living here for some time and hold this property for a long time. So rather than sell, I'm just going to refinance and pay off the investor as well as my original mortgage. The 2 most common cash out financing strategies here would be to pull a big equity line of credit based on the new value and pay the investor off with that while keeping my original mortgage the same, or do a cash out refinance with a jumbo loan. I'll explain a little bit about how a cash refinance works. Remember the equity equation? If you had a $500,000 house and owed $400,000, you'd have $100,000 in equity. Well, now I have an $825,000 house and I owe $615,000, and that's $210,000 of net equity. Remember, I started with $50,000 of equity at the purchase? Not bad for managing a project, right? So with the $210,000 of equity, the bank is happy to finagle my loan around and easily give me up to 75% or more, sometimes up to 90% of that equity in exchange for a new monthly payment. So just for the sake of this example, I'll do a jumbo cash out refinance at 75% loan to value. So 75% of 825 is 618,750. That's how much the bank will lend to me based on the new value of the home. So at loan closing, the 618,750 will pay the first 2 loans totaling 615, leaving me with some cash left over of $3,613. That will get written to me in a check. Pretty cool. And if it appraises for more and I take a larger loan, I'd walk away with that larger difference. Right now, that $3,600 is pretty much just going to cover my closing costs. Okay, so the final bit here and the icing on the cake is the cash flow that renting the basement apartment will bring. So remember, my original mortgage payment was $2,900 a month. The new loan of $618,750, assuming an interest rate of 4%, will have a payment of $3,650 a month. That's a $750 increase over my last payment. But by renting the new unit out, I will earn cash flow over and above that increase. So let's look at those numbers. If you take our new 2-bed, 1-bath, 900 square foot unit, comparable rentals show that I could get about $1,650 a month. And I want to be conservative, and I know that my unit's new. I could probably push 18, so I'm going to go with $1,650 in this case. I'm not just going to subtract my $750 monthly increase in mortgage from the $1,650 and call it a $900 a month cash flow, because I want to account for some vacancy and maintenance. So I'll take 5% off the annualized rent and call it a net rental income of $1,540 a month, resulting in a positive cash flow of $790 a month over the mortgage increase. So in recap, I'll add over $150,000 of equity to the home and almost $800 a month in cash flow without using any of my own money, while being lightly involved in managing a project, which I think is fun. I hope this sways your decision to buy a property with unfinished space, or finish some space that you already have. Post any questions below. I love talking shop about renovation, investing, and the Portland home market in general. You can always reach us at info@portlandhomemarket.com. Please like and subscribe this video and our page, as we will be making many more videos just like this, and liking it helps others find our videos. Myself and my real estate partner Kristen are realtors in Portland, Oregon. If you have questions about residential or small multifamily properties in Portland and surrounding areas, we're here to help. We'd love to hear from you. Find us anywhere on the web at Portland Home Market. Thanks for watching.